I want to talk about that era too, because you mentioned getting into a recession. You're talking like, was there a recession early
Yeah.
90s? So in the late 80s, I think, because I was born in 92, right? I don't know, I see like the movie Wall Street and there's all these depictions of 80s and there was an economic boom in the late 80s, correct?
Mm-hmm.
At that time. And you have these office towers going up and things are really cranking. Um, Tell me about the energy real quick of downtown. Obviously when I was growing up in the late 90s, in the early 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
downtown was dead, right? After 5 o'clock and really nothing was going on. There wasn't that many, if any, people living downtown. I think Element and SkyPoint in the mid 2000s is when we got some good
Mm-hmm.
residents coming in. But before that, it was just kind of a suitcase city. What was it like in the late 80s?
It was quiet. I mean, really quiet. You didn't have the only people that lived in the central business district were the residents at which was called One Laurel Place. I'm not sure if it's still called that now. It's right at the.
It is, yeah.
There was a couple hundred people maybe that were starting to live there. I know Mayor Buckhorn jokes because he said that when he started working, the only people who lived downtown were the people that were in the county jail, which was true. I mean, when you looked at the population that was stated in the census, it would say 400 people, but everybody knew that was the population of the jail. There wasn't anybody living downtown. Harbor Island had just finished their marketplace, and the one condo that is connected to the marketplace, and they were just starting construction on the single family home. So that's all that there was. And the emphasis of planning then was really revolved around that because the idea was nobody's living downtown, nobody's coming downtown, so we need to make it easy for people to get in and get out. And so there was a real strong emphasis on making sure people can get out of town fast and not stick around.
Parking and traffic flow efficiency was
Yeah.
probably at the top of the list. But you mentioned you wanted to promote high-rise development on Franklin and that kind of central business district area of downtown, north of kind of the crosstown there. Was there an emphasis on residential towers?
No, not at that time. There wasn't any. I think some of the discussions that came out of the mayor's advisory committee at that time was there was this belief that until Harbor Island developed, that developers were not going to risk in downtown because the land could be the land costs at Harbor Island at the time were going to be comparable or less, and the risk was less. So as long as people were able to go to buy a house or rent on Harbor Island, you weren't going to find a developer that was going to risk in the central business district, and that kind of followed through because it wasn't until the early 2000s, after Harbor Island was pretty well flushed out, that we started to see people, developers at least. We saw people had an interest in living downtown. The Channel District individuals were trying to come into some of the industrial places. So there was an interest that just took a while.
That's where we lived. 2002, 2003, 2004, and 5, we were on Harbor Island.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was incredible. I mean, you felt like you were in a gated community in what felt like a beautifully manicured and was a suburban style development, but then you're over a bridge from downtown. And of course, this is minus every residence. You only have the people in the county jail living downtown,
Right.
so you could hop over the bridge and be right there immediately. It was that era of Harbor Island was incredible. Now a lot of those residents are angry because maybe when they moved in it was like that, but now certainly downtown has a lot more life and a lot more people. So there's this kind of rub against that whole thing going on.
Yeah, we had to help try and create some activity downtown. The Tampa Downtown Partnership at that time was fairly new. But they created a subcommittee that was called the Downtown Core, and it was basically a group of young professionals. I joined it, and I ended up becoming the president in the third year of the organization. But the goal of that organization was to promote special events downtown. But our idea was that we've got to show people what's going on downtown.
Yeah.
So we would do monthly membership meetings and then have a monthly fundraiser for a local charity. But the idea was that we've got to bring people downtown so they can get used to it, realize that it's not a scary place.
Yeah.
And so we would support new restaurants that they opened up. We would do a couple events there to try to bring people in.
Bring people in, but what about living there at that time?
At that time, no. It was basically, the goal was basically show that downtown could be fun.
Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.